it seems like, it feels like all the evidence would point to, unless the community gets nasty, aggressive, and persistent, you're not willing to hear reasonable requests for change.
I disagree with that.
Tell me something that you changed without it getting noisy.
In what? Anything?
Anything.
Change things on a daily basis.
Tell me one.
A staffing issue that happened today.
Based on community and parents?
No, you asked for example of when I've changed
On
my
this
mind when
plan.
someone went.
On this plan. I don't even know about your staffing.
Yeah, that's what you asked when. I just said.
On this plan.
On this plan, we've looked at, I would say the special needs stuff has been something that we want to make sure we're cognizant of. Bathrooms, we've added bathrooms on there too.
Where did you add bathrooms?
If you look on the pods on the east and west, there's more student restrooms. There's 2 student restrooms on each of those pods.
There's more student restrooms.
Yeah. So on the
I see staff, and that single use
Yeah.
is with who's going to use the single use?
those are just students. They'll be designated boy, girl, whatever for that. That's in those east and west pods. We've added those pieces on.
Those
there.
are open restrooms for any person that wants to use them?
That's for students.
Right, I'm just saying any kid can go to that restroom instead of the other one, or are those like,
Yeah.
if you have a special toilet need?
No, those would be open. So
This
again,
is the
we've
weeds. I mean, would you be willing, we have a May renewal levy coming up. It's a bargaining chip for the public. If they get riled up enough and they see it as a vote of dissident, they'll vote no and defeat that. And that doesn't help the district. Would you be willing, Aaron, to say to the public, look, this is a big deal. We want to get it right. We really do want to get it right. It's long-term, 50-year building. We'd like to do a quick survey to the community, the 2-story barbell versus the 3-story. Would you be willing to put something out there, because you can do it very quickly, before, what is it, May
6.
6. And 6. 6.
6th?
I think
Okay.
that's when election.
6. Yes,
Okay.
May 6th.
Would you be willing to get feedback and say, you know, this is your dollars, it's your school. I may be here 10 years from now, I may not be. This is my legacy that I want to leave as a superintendent who's very involved and productive and hands-on, but I want to do it, what?
This is not about me.
Exactly, it's about the community. And so would you be willing to put a survey out there and let the community help guide you?
I'm not going to commit to a survey, no. If the board wants to do a survey, the board can do a survey.
Well, Mr. Moran, you know darn well if you go to that board and say, I would like to have a survey for the community, they'll get behind you and do it. And I think that way, you know, the voice is the voice. Whether it's this, then you really have to lean on. If it's not this, if it's the 2-story barbell, that's a good thing. I don't see it as a losing proposition either way. Do you go?
I don't either, and I just finished my point.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I'm a little more soft-spoken than the 2 of you. But it just seems like, because you said I've been open to feedback this whole time, but every meeting that I've ever watched that's been broadcast, it doesn't seem like there would be anything that anyone could say that would change your mind. And to that end, then it really just proves that you do not value community feedback. You can say that you do, but if you're not willing to do something like a survey to say, hey, everybody, I know you can't all come to meetings because you all have to work, you have children, you have lives, unlike the people in this room apparently, but we want to hear from you. But not doing that and really just cramming down a vote really just shows intentions.
The other thing about the plan too is that the emotional feelings surrounding halls and walls versus, you know, extended learning spaces is, for me, and I think for a lot of our voters and our parents and our community, is what's the value attached to that and how are we going to see that? So what part of our report card are you looking to impact academically? So what the halls and walls that we currently have?
Everyone. I want to see our performance index rise. I want to see our proficiency rates rise. I want to see every kid rise.
So if the halls and walls are the reason that kids aren't performing, I would say historically, looking back at our report cards, there's no one-to-one on that. There's no halls and walls and a drop-off in report cards. Just like we're not going to see reading rooms or learning spaces suddenly explode our academics, because there is no research done around the world that can draw a correlation between those two things. And if you wanted to convince anybody, just pick anything from that report card and say, this is what we're going to see changed. This number, this achievement score, this whatever, we're going to see it move.
I want the achievement scores to improve now, even when we don't have buildings.
Right,
That's not going to change. How we're going to do that?
What you've said is that
engaging our students
these.
and creating opportunities for them. That's what we're going to do.
Well, that's not how you improve achievement. How you improve achievement is teacher clarity, explicit instruction, and monitoring and coaching of students. That doesn't matter if it happens in a hall, by a wall,
Hut,
in a box,
and
with
I
a
mean that
fox,
sincerely
right?
in Africa, been there, done
Right.
that, seen that.
Under a tree.
Under a tree,
Yes.
with a fox, yeah.
We've all turned into Dr. Seuss.
I have another question on the
Last one.
sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, I kind of want to ask too. The third story self-contained classroom, students with mobility needs. Are they expected to use the elevator every single day, multiple times a day to get up there? What happens if the elevator is broken, malfunctioning, and egress for
So-
safety?
So all those, let's go like access. The kids need to be with their peers, and no matter if they were in 2 stories or 3 stories,
I
they need to
agree.
be with their peers. So that's right now kids can't go anywhere. We get kids that have the issue with Broadway, they can't go anywhere, right? They can't go up to the 2nd floor. So
Right.
we want to open that up. And again, if they need to use it, hopefully they don't have to use it much, because everything they need is up there. They may use
Well,
it
they're-
for beginning and lunchtime. That may be it. They may use it for like do at the high school for various reasons where they help out with things or do stuff. So I don't see that as an issue. The egress is, again, all these, the pods each have a door to access directly to the outside too. And then they can use there's multiple doors, as you can see. They can go in to use the playgrounds, because we want the playgrounds to be accessible. We want all those things to be
Absolutely,
accessible
I'm
for all.
totally for that.
Yeah.
What about, mobility issues? Somebody that's in a wheelchair, how are they gonna get down? Are you gonna, have enough egress chairs and train everyone in the egress chairs and store them?
Yep. It fit right on the wall. Those are nice equipment that really, again, as you probably have experience with, they're really safe and easy to use. They're not a complicated piece that you have to be 600 pounds to handle a student. Anybody can use it, and it goes down nice and safely. And those are things we have now currently. We want to continue those things.
I'm not knocking any of that. I am for inclusion. I'm for being with their peers. I'm for accessibility. Functionality, when you have a high intensive needs classroom, and you have students with autism, you got to go down flights of stairs every day. That would pose a challenge for some of my students currently that I work with. And so knowing that they would have to go up and down multiple times a day is, in my head, I'm like, that's going to be challenging
It's a fear you
for the
have.
teacher. For what?
It's a fear you have.
Yeah, because I work with students who would refuse that transitions are very difficult. So that would be an issue to go down flights of stairs multiple times a day. And
Sometimes just getting them from point A to point B on the same
Yes.
floor is not
Yes.
easy.
Yep, 100%. So knowing that they have to do that,
And the band
Would be a
kids
challenge.
carrying those instruments up and down on the 3rd floor.
I have one more question, and it's a functionality question of, so the junior high level is on a split time or alternate time. When they get out, sometimes you have students that linger for after school sports, after school activities. The gyms are right butted together, cafeteria is all open. How's that going to look, and how are we going to keep kids safe and monitored with that? Because I know, like, junior high kids linger and get into.
That's a monitoring situation that we need to deal with. Again, if you're not here for an activity, and the activity needs to be, we have that, well, last year especially when we had kids that were in sports and early releases. You had kids going everywhere, right?
Had some kids' room.
So middle school would actually keep those kids that had practices to stay there. They monitor them, they kept them there.
So they would keep them on
They
the top,
would
top
keep them
level?
if they need to, yeah. I mean, they did it last year again for the early releases. I don't know how many kids we're talking about, but for the early releases, there was a lot of kids on every Wednesday that were in the cafeteria being monitored. And we do the same thing, be the same type of thing here. Nobody needs to be bothering and disturbing a class or anything like that. Just like when kids are walking in the hallway, their job isn't to disrupt other kids, and you see that being taught to them at the elementary level all the time. Slow down, be a little more quiet, get classes in session, things like that, and that would need to be pushed for these things too. Hopefully there's not a whole lot of that because they're in their own areas moving forward. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Have a good
Thank
afternoon.
you.